Hey folks, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're going to go deeper into our lower unit. We took the bearing carrier off. I can see the shaft here is probably not going to hold the seal, so we're probably going to have to pull a shaft out of another unit that I have here. And we're going to have to hope that that one's okay. If not, I'm going to have to let this guy know, sorry, I don't have anything right now. And that's what happens sometimes when you're working on stuff. You have to continue to look further. So don't forget, my used outboard motor buying guide is for sale on Amazon. If you bought the book and you send me proof of purchase at keith@outboarddad.com, I am still offering a free half-hour session over the phone to help you with a motor that you're maybe looking to purchase, walk you through the guide if you're checking out a boat that has an outboard motor on it, or maybe you're just working on your outboard and need some assistance with troubleshooting and figuring out what you need. Speaking of troubleshooting, I am going to be getting some diagnostic tools. You've probably seen me use the Mercury diagnostic tool on the Optimax motors. Kind of what I've used it for the most because they're kind of the most sophisticated motors and needed that for it. But we're going to do a little comparison, and we're going to go through that with the Ansel MR500. So let any of you that know that tool or have seen it, let me know your thoughts on it. I should have it here the next week or so, and we'll start going through how it works. Let's face it, you guys know I love these older two-stroke motors, but eventually we're going to be going four-stroke, right? We're all heading in that direction. I'm going to keep these old motors going as long as we can, but more and more, each one of my customers down the road, they start going, all right, I got the four-stroke this time, I love it, or doesn't have the power, but everything's okay. I haven't had really bad experiences with them other than older motors like my Suzuki here with the milky oil have some issues, and when I say older, it's a 2006. You know, I'm rebuilding motors that are in the 90s still, two-strokes, but even those now, the corrosion is getting to the point where that one 250 horse Yamaha that I pulled apart, sent pictures to the guy. He was like, you know what, I'm going to hold off right now. I'm sorry. I said, no reason to apologize. I want you to know what you're getting. I'll rebuild the motor. I know it's still intact, good enough for a rebuild, but that'll be for a later date and another video. So, where do we leave off here? We took our bearing carrier out of the top, and there was some rust too I want to look at. And the rust was on my needle bearings here. They're looking kind of rough. I don't think I want to reuse these rusted needle bearings. Even if I clean them up, it's eventually going to fail. So hopefully our other lower unit maybe has a good one on it. If not, we may be dead in the water. So probably before I go any further, before I even take the bearing carrier out of the prop side, I'm going to get that other lower unit up here, and let's pull that bearing carrier off the top drive shaft and see what it looks like before we go any further. So this one's actually an older, this is I think the guy had said it was a 78, but it was fresh motors up in New Hampshire. You remember the guys came down, oh, forget their names now. Two young guys came with 140 horse. This lower unit is cracked here, got water in it and froze and busted out. Don't know if that's really repairable. I think the insides are kind of busted out too much to really try and repair it. We might be able to weld it up and seal it off, but listen, we're going to pull this apart and see what it looks like, but first we got to get this bearing carrier out. As I look at the drive shaft, they already have the bolts out of the bearing carrier, so we just have to pick up on it, and as you know, we're going to do our trick that we did in a previous video, and I'm going to tap this, put the bolts in, and we'll get this out. All right, let's see what we got. We did our bolt trick. Well, this one, bearing is not good on. No, it is rusted up inside there, so this one's not going to be usable. Such a shame. Well, I guess we could knock the bearing out and order a new bearing. I don't know if I want to go that far. And looking at this shaft, where the seals meet, and it doesn't look too bad. So this one might be better than the other one. Can't turn it, it's locked up. A lot of rust down in there. I'm not sure if this is going to be usable or not. Gonna have to clean it up and see. So let me look closely where this lines up. So these two seals are right there, and yeah, that looks pretty good where the seals match up. So this shaft is better in this side. Let's double check our old one again, just to be sure. Well, actually, I was looking on the wrong place. What we're going to have to do, and I think the only way we're going to know for sure, is we're going to have to get these drive shafts both out, clean them up with some emery cloth, and do a really close inspection. So what does that mean? Bearing carriers on both have to come out, so we might as well get started on this one. It's on the bench. If you've seen any of my previous videos on lower unit rebuilds, I did Johnson Evinrude, I did Yamaha. I don't think I did a Mercury yet in a video, but basically this bearing carrier has to come out. It is threaded in here, so we did take the bolts out that holds the bearing carrier in. There's a plate there, there's some snap rings, and you know, we did get that out of there. The bolts anyway, they're still in there, but they're all loose. So now we need to just pull this out, and there's all kinds of pullers you can buy, you know, fancy, just made for this and everything, but if you know me at all, I don't like to spend money on stuff I don't have to. So I'm just making sure these threads are good. And I'm going to make up something. Let's see what pullers we have kicking around. I have this Pittsburgh puller set. We'll use some parts from it. And I believe I was going to start with this. So it's like a bearing splitter, but it can be used for lots of other things. I don't think my bolt's going to go through here. Oh no, it will. So what I was thinking is if I can get this in here, it looks like those bolt holes won't line up. So we're going to have to figure out a way to get some bolts in there to yank this out. Let's give it a shot. So I have a couple of 5/16 threaded rod, and they fit in here, and I'm hoping I can make this work. I'm going to have to get some nuts and washers for this. So what I'm going to do is thread this in here. And I got one for the bottom. It's tight, but it fits. Thread this one in the bottom one. Then we'll get some nuts and washers on here and tighten it up and see if we can pull that sucker out. So what I'm doing here is double nutting the end, just so I can make sure I get this threaded in all the way. I want to make sure I'm threaded into this aluminum. It's about that thick, the aluminum, and I want to make sure I'm not just catching on 2-3 threads. You know, I want to make sure I'm in there pretty far before I start cranking. I could probably even see if it comes out the other end, but all right, that's in there. It seems to stop. That's pretty interesting. Let's see, can we put a 1/2 inch, 12 millimeter. That's in there pretty good. Now I am going to put a little more lube on this because I want to be sure everything slides nicely so we get as much pressure. Now I could heat this cone up too. I may not have to. It is pretty clean, so I'm hoping I don't have to. But if I get too much pressure on it and I feel I'm going to break something, then I'll probably go ahead and heat it up. I'm not too concerned about ruining the cone because it's already split. Just get this tight so we're tight against our shaft. And let's see what we can do here. There, let's tighten this up and see if we can get it to move. So I'm watching here because I want to tighten somewhat evenly. I think I saw it move a little bit. Yeah, it's coming out. Check it out. This is an old lower unit, but it was fresh water, and I'm surprised because it was also rusty inside, but it seems to be coming out. So again, I'm not buying fancy tools to do this stuff. I'm just using some Harbor Freight stuff and some threaded rods and some ingenuity. Now I probably could have, it's a little painted in here, I probably could have sanded some of the paint off, might have made it a little easier. I probably wouldn't fight as long, but I didn't say I was that smart. But it is moving. And it's coming right out. Now we'll see how bad this is inside. I wonder if the other one's going to come out this easy. Let's loosen this up now. And there you have it. There's some of those bolts that I was telling you about. So these are the bolts inside here. They have a little seal inside of them. So we want to save those. The seal kit would come with new seals, but it doesn't thread all the way through, right? It just comes through, so I guess it does stop. But this bearing is shot too, so this bearing carrier is really just, listen, I can knock the bearings out, on both ends. It's really kind of a pain. To me, this is scrap metal. I'm not going to mess with it. I'll have my scrap guy Jimmy come and pick it up. Now, it is rusty in there. Let's see what we can do inside there. All right, so a couple of snap rings in here. We'll juice it up a little bit. It's pretty rusty. So I modified a pair of Harbor Freight needle nose. And it is rusted in there. Let's see if I can get a screwdriver in there. It's not helping. Has to come out or else I can't get the rest of it out. So we're probably going to have to heat this now. We'll heat up the sides, see if we can expand it a little bit. Okay, we heated it up and got that one out. You see it's still smoking a little bit. We'll put that over here on the concrete. Now let's see if we get the other one out, because of course there's two. The first one the bearing carrier beats up against with the bolts and has an O-ring on it. And then the second one, there's a gap between the two snap rings, and the second one behind that is the plate that has the threaded holes for those bolts to go in. All right, a little bit of heat was all we needed. Now let's see. Oops, dropping bolts. My workbench here is getting a little too busy. So there's the plate. It's probably got a little heat to it, so I'm not going to grab it. Rusty, but not too bad. Here's our forward gear, reverse gear, whatever. I wouldn't reuse it. You know, you might be able to clean this up with emery cloth, but there's bearing here on this side too that's just frozen. Yeah, I wouldn't reuse it. Now we got that big fat nut. So we have a nut on the bottom of the drive shaft. I have a old school, I think it's a Billings wrench or something like that, that's flat. I can fit in there and then put my pipe wrench on here to remove this. If we can get it to turn, I guess we should probably see if we can get it to turn first. All right. It's a mover. It's nasty in there. And the gear on the end of the drive shaft is round. There's no teeth on it anymore. So these boys went out and ran it like that and just kept on running. They didn't know the difference. So it looks to me that I may be able to save the drive shaft. Won't know till I get it out and clean it up. And then what I'll have to do is I'll have to see when we get it out of there. Nothing else is going to be savable inside here. We'll pull it out and this will be scrap. But what I'll do is this has a really good skeg on it. So I'll cut that skeg off and I'll save it. So if someone wants me to weld one onto theirs, they can have a full skeg. So let's see if we can get this off of here.